recording?
Mhm.
All right.
Well, good evening and welcome to our MSAD 16th school board meeting. And we can all stand now for the pledge. We're all ready. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So our first order of business is to ask for public input. It doesn't appear that we have anybody in the audience tonight. So we'll move along to reviewing the minutes of December 1st.
The first after Wayland says was remote, just were remote. I know it's there.
That's okay.
You got it. Okay, I'll fix that.
Any other amendments?
No, that blue line. Let me see it right. Right, yeah. Okay.
Hey, do we have a motion then to accept the minutes as amended? Do we have a second? A second, all those in favor? And the motion is carried.
I ask who the second was, because
Me.
So, it's okay. Got it, thank you. Right, I have that.
And now we're going to have a student report from Echo.
On Monday, National Honor Society hosted a blood drive. Red Cross was hoping to collect 20 pints of blood, but they were happy to collect 22.
Congratulations.
Other than that, winter sports are in full swing. Students have been showing their support by watching the games and meets. And I think we are all very happy that holiday break is close. And on New Year's Day, the outing club will be hiking Mount Musalak, which is in the White Mountains, to welcome in the new year.
Great.
Thank you, Echo. And now we're going to turn the floor over to Senator Joe Rafferty and Representative Tiffany Roberts. First of all, welcome and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules. We know you're getting ready to go into the legislative session tomorrow, so appreciate your time this evening. How would you like to do this? Would you like to ask some questions or tell us some of your thoughts around what happened in the education environment in Maine this year?
Senator, do you want me to lead off with an update and then you can take over from the education committee standpoint and then see if they've got questions? Does that work?
Yeah, that's fine by me. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. So I am Tiffany Roberts. I represent what's now House District 149, which is the majority of North and South Berwick. So I have two school districts in my district. Two things that I just kind of wanted to go over with the board. One is I have met with the North Berwick town manager, Dwayne, and I think that maybe Audrey, you might have been in conversations with him already, but what he is requesting is that I submit legislation that would allow the district to bond out capital projects for up to 30 years. This was kind of related to the bond issue that failed at the ballot. So I wanted to run that by the board and make sure that this is something you're aware of, see if there were any glaring issues that you saw with it. So I guess we can kind of start there.
Does that compare to what are we currently?
20 years is our max right now.
And he's trying to make it consistent with municipalities.
Right.
The state lets municipalities do it. So he's thinking that particularly with such little in the way of construction funding, if we're to take it on as a district, then have spreading it over 30 years instead of 20 will help the taxpayer.
Budget-wise, that would make a huge difference.
By the way, I'm Denise Van Camp and I'm the business manager speaking from a side.
Nice to virtually meet you. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you all knew that was going in. I have talked to DOE and the treasurer's office. There's no like strong disapproval or approval. They're just kind of null about it. So I don't imagine that there'll be an issue. The other thing was, so for those of you that were on 2 years ago, we talked about truancy, and that was kind of like there was no easy fix. And what DOE wanted to do was to study it, and there was the TDAE committee. So they commenced and did a study that reported out that I sent to Kathleen and to Audra. I don't know if the rest of you have it, and Senator Rafferty has it as well. And I've been meeting with Susan Lieberman, who I believe Sue Austin there. I can't see. Okay, so you know Susan, right?
Yep.
Okay. So I've been meeting with her, and I'm meeting with her again tomorrow as far as what parts of this plan we're looking at trying to implement into statute. Kind of like putting the Every Student Succeeds standards into statute. Also, Sue, she said you would remember the liaison program that was under the youth cabinet.
I do remember that, yep.
So they're
Yep.
looking to reestablish that in statute as well. So those are just some of the things that are coming out of the study. It's not a silver bullet for the issues and concerns that you brought forth a couple of years ago, but it's recognized as an issue, and we're trying to chip away at it, if that makes sense.
So if I do I remember correctly, that the concern was that there weren't a lot of tools that we had to
Correct. Just
to do this.
yeah.
So the study was looking at what districts have at their disposal. And so the findings are going to be along those lines? Or what is that? I haven't seen the study, and I'm sorry if you guys did.
That's okay. So there were basically, I have it in front of me here. There are basically 5 findings. Recommendation 1 was an alternative way to graduation. And they point that consideration of life circumstances, and that's all bulleted out. I can share that. I didn't have emails for the whole board, so I just shared it.
Tiffany, I'll share it again right now with them, so they have it.
Okay. Another thing would be if we're going to put the Every Student Succeeds standards into statute, the committee was looking at adding to that if there is a 15% or more, tardiness rate, that they would have a focus group formed in that district or in that school. So, and if you, once you all get that, you feel free to reach out to me, email, phone, Facebook, or whatever, if you have any questions. This is just the first go round of a study, and, government, unfortunately, is not always quick. There are not overnight solutions. It starts with studies and implementing small steps and see where we go from there. If there is a specific request that you all think that you have, absolutely come to either of us with it.
I'm sending the study right now.
Okay.
There you go. It's a pretty quick, it's a 13-page PowerPoint, so it's not overwhelming. Good.
Senator, did you want to just kind of give an overview of what?
Sure. I'm Joe Rafferty, and I just thank you folks for inviting us in. I appreciate it very much, and thank you for your work. I know that, probably the school boards are one of the more difficult jobs in the state in terms of public service. I know that. So having a long time teacher, so I've been around a lot of meetings. But in any case, thank you for your work. So I think that these are common themes. I did chair the Education Committee in the 130th. I don't know my assignment coming up, but I've requested the Education Committee. So, it's a good fit, I think, for me, and hopefully this will help us all in terms of this study. But in any case, these are fairly common themes. I mean, we're doing what we can in terms of trying to get education back to a so-called post-COVID norm, if that's possible. I think we are making some progress. A lot of the schools had some grant money available. Everyone had a possibility at it. I'm not sure yet as to how many took advantage of the tutoring and so forth. It was a possibility this summer, but certainly there were some challenges, but I do think that we are making progress and will continue to do so. In the event that I am on the education committee, I hope that will help you folks specifically if you have any issues coming up, that you can reach out to either one of us, and hopefully we'll get a direct line going. But that'll be I think we'll know by the end of this. Well, by tomorrow, I hope to know. I've been told. But my email is a good resource to reach me, and that's just first initial, last name at legislature.maine.gov for all of us. And I do have an office number that is on the legislative website as well.
All right.
If I may just kind of jump in here, speaking for our administrators, I think one thing that really has struck us over the last couple of years is the fact that we had a shift back to 2 years for probationary status of teachers, and it had been 3 years. And that third year really, really helped us out a great deal. Because really, when you think about like that first year as a new teacher, it takes like that whole year to kind of to feel that whole, what that whole day and year, what it looks like as far as everything, every part of it, from planning to communication to classroom management and building a repertoire of skills. And I know it's very hard when you just have a 2-year piece and you have to make a really quick decision about, that teacher. So for our administrative team, that's really like one of their top areas of concern, is trying to get that back to 3 years.
I don't know the status of that, to be honest with you right now, but I imagine in some of the larger districts such as yours, that it's difficult to get enough visits and enough classroom contacts with a lot of the teachers as well. So I can see where that third year would be beneficial. So, but I can't say for certain that I know the status of that. I can check on it, but I really don't.
It was changed 2 years ago.
Was the third year, was that like a COVID
No,
measure?
no,
It had been that way for a while.
It had been 3 and they changed it to 2.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
you're saying, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Yeah.
September.
Several years ago, it was 2 years probationary status, and then they stretched it to 3 years, which was really beneficial, not only to us as an administrative team, but really for the staff members. Because you have to make those hard decisions at the end of that probationary period, because if you choose to keep them, you are committed. Like it's a much more difficult process to move things along. But at least, so for us, we're having to make hard decisions in a much shorter time frame. And sometimes people really take 3 years to bloom to that really solid level. And so when we end up cutting people short, which is
What was the reason for changing it to 2 years?
I don't know that answer. I think it was I feel like it wasn't actually in the education realm. It was in the labor laws.
Like labor.
Yeah.
Huh,
So,
okay.
I can dig a little bit. I don't remember. I just remember going, yikes, that's not good.
But we have staff that can look into it and find the root of where it came from and go from there.
And COVID has certainly complicated that, because we have staff coming in that didn't have traditional student teaching. So that's the added challenge of coming into a classroom and having just had a class remote, which is very different than a class in person right in front of you every day.
Mhm.
Someone could explain it to me as, especially if you're new to a district, it really takes the first, like up until winter break, the first break, to get acclimated to the school. And then you're basically, I think the decision has to be made in October of the second year. So like, you're really only getting judged off of 5.5 months of teaching or 6 months of teaching. So it's hard to pick up the membership, is it like, okay.
Yeah, we have to
Start in
make the decision
October?
in April.
Okay, does it start in October? then,
Well,
with the plan and
everything starts, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was that I had heard.
And this is in MRS 20-A, chapter 503, teacher employment.
Senator, do you want to touch base with John Krasinski about this?
I can do so, sure.
Thank you.
I don't think we're the only district that has concerns regarding it.
Anyone else? We're here to listen to you mostly.
Be quiet tonight.
I know.
Yeah. And I can't see if there's any hands or anything, so I don't know. I just see little people.
I appreciate you guys coming and updating us, and I think it's always helpful.
Would you like to do this on a regular basis?
Sure, we can, as our schedule permits, yeah.
I don't know what you mean by regular, but.
Right.
I think that, and I don't know if I'm right on this, but like, once you get into session, you have a better idea of which bills are getting tossed and which ones might go forward. So is that correct? So like,
Yes and no. I mean, we'll have a better idea of what bills are in or have been submitted. Then it does take the kind of the better part of the session for each committee to work through the bills. So if Senator Rafferty, say, is chair again of education, by mid to late February, he'll have a good idea of all the bills that are in and what they are consisted of. And
so maybe at that point, even just some communication of which bills you're considering, that might be helpful, like obviously that pertain to education.
okay, yeah, I think we just lost him there, but I'll.
Yeah.
Internet's been being weird lately.
Oh, yep, he's going.
He said he was having problems with his internet earlier, so.
But if you could plan on coming maybe once a quarter,
Okay.
that might be reasonable. When does your session end? Does it end at the end of April? Is that-
The first year statutory adjournment is June 22nd, I believe.
Oh, it's, okay.
So if we connect in March, would that make sense?
That would be good. Yeah, it would likely have to be Zoom because we'll probably we would session on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so we'd likely still be up there. Just it'd be a matter of if we're done with our day's work at the time.
I mean, it works well for us, the Zoom. We're all getting good at it. Because COVID was good for some things anyways.
Right, so we'll plan on that and figure out what meeting would work and like Senator and I said, if you have any questions or concerns or anything at any point, you don't need to wait till we come here to reach out. We're very accessible. So there he is.
Technology, it's awesome, isn't it?
Senator, they were saying maybe like in March sometime we could pop in on a Zoom once if you're on ed, you have an idea of what bills are in, what might be.
Yeah, I think that should give us some time.
Okay.
Perfect.
But so you can also, I don't know it depends on how many emails you want, but you can go on legislature.maine.gov and you can go to the Education Committee's website, and there is a button there. It says subscribe to interested parties list or IP list. And what that would do is it would send you out an email every time there is a public hearing or work session being scheduled for a bill. So you would know what bills are going out. You may get, depending on how many bills they have, it may increase your emails, but you'd be very aware of what's going on. And if you wanted to weigh in, you would have the opportunity to do so.
That sounds great.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We really appreciate, we know how busy you are, and we really do appreciate your taking time to come and speak with us. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a curiosity question. My wife is in the other room and she just got notice that the local school district is on a 2-hour delay tomorrow. Did that you know.
So that's not us yet, Joe.
No,
It's-
I'm
it's your-
just wondering if it's, it's hard to figure this weather pattern apparently.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be an early morning call.
Good
Yeah.
luck. I'm glad I don't have to make those calls.
Go on some, but we're.
Yeah, we're right on
We're right on
the
the
Great.
Yeah.
Like literally, it's gonna.
Joe, who else do you represent? So you have, which towns are you covering?
Well, this is with the changes, so it's Berwick, North Berwick, Wells, Kennebunk, and Kennebunkport.
Okay,
And formerly I had Acton and Lebanon, parts of Berwick, and no Kennebunkport. So it's a little bit different.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you. You folks
you.
have a nice holiday. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay, bye.
Stay if you'd like, but it could be boring, so.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you, you too.
You're welcome to stay. Okay.
Bye. All right, so now we have a very exciting donation to talk about from the North Berwick PTO.
Thank you. So we have a donation of $1,906.18 for the backpack program from the North Berwick PTO. So Lauren, to put you on the spot, do you want to just talk about how that money came about?
Yes, we had our first, since COVID, Halloween bash at the school. So it was new to a lot of us, a lot of new faces on the PTO this year. So it's fun just to, I had never been a part of it before, or seen it before. And it was just Friday night in October. And we raised the money, we had like 12 activities in the gym, and concessions in the cafeteria, and Doodle Bugs and Mac Photography donated their time to do face painting, and Material donated time to do face painting. Spooky hallway, like all the big, and it was just a fun Friday night, and we had some really good sponsors at the event. Green Truck in North Berwick paid for the pizzas that we got discounted from Reserves and Wells. Just other donations that came in, and gave donations that came. It was just a fun event, and so we ended up, Mr. A told us about the dire need of the backpack program. So that's side question. So that's part of the district, but not funded by the district. Is that what your statement?
So, right, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
And he just kind of explained the dire need and that there's more kids than he's ever seen. And so we just said, you know what? Let's just donate the entire profits of the event.
Nice.
to that program.
So we do need a motion for that.
So would someone like to make a motion to accept the donation? Okay. Anybody second? All those in favor?
I think so.
Okay.
Looks like the motion is passed. Thank you very much. I have a question. Is the backpack program, is it a 501c?
So it is not, and it sort of runs. How do we even put it, Denise? Go ahead and talk about it.
It runs similar to a grant. So we, instead of having a grant fund come in, we have donations that come in. And then when they buy the food, the expenses go against it. So we account for it separately so that everything that comes in and goes out that's related to it is in the same area. And it doesn't get used by other things.
So we manage the money internally, but it is generated outside of taxpayer funds. So there's a lot of staff members who make donations out of their paychecks every week or every 2 weeks. And then we do have a lot of really generous folks who donate. So it's good.
I'm very sorry, I forgot to start. The person from our committee who went in and met with, I forget who, Janet maybe?
Janet.
Okay,
Yeah.
Janet. Janet said they had just received or were about to receive a Cisco delivery
Yeah.
for 3 weeks, and this was like just higher than.
Right, a Cisco delivery for a 3-week coverage is about $1,700.
Yeah.
So that takes, and that's about 125 backpacks that go. And when we say backpacks, they're actually just bags of food, because it's not it's something that they can throw in their backpack. So that it's not too, and we're trying to grow that, like, we're just trying to encourage more and more families to do it. We have because of the generous donations that we have, we do have the funding to be able to grow it even bigger. But it's,
Got more to share on other too.
Okay, thank you. So now we're going to take a look at our HVAC project review and approval.
So last time we met, at the beginning of December, we went through some highlights that the Facilities and Finance Committee had earlier that day regarding the HVAC project. And at that point, I think Sue shared the presentation that the Facilities and Finance Committee had. So you could look at that with more specific, which had more specific information about the 3 schools that were really going to be the focus for this big project, and some of the additional. So I didn't know if there were any follow-up questions that we can take from seeing that presentation, or now that thinking about it, 2 weeks, have gone by. So we can certainly answer any questions, or those that sat in on the committee, if there are any questions that they could answer, we'll certainly take that. What I will say is, in order to get this closed in December, we do need to make a decision tonight, but that, I'm not trying to pressure either way. I'm just trying to give the timeline that it is a tight timeline, and we've worked a lot this week just trying to get documents in place, because the holidays coming up and schedules are a little different.
So my only question, and I did see the timeline in the presentation, but my question is like, I feel like with all of the big facility stuff that we did last year, 2 years ago, every time you looked at it, it would go up in price. So like, how locked in is this really? And in 6 months, are they gonna be like, oh, sorry, copper piping just quadrupled and
so
You're not
currently I think that there will always be the concerns about change orders, right? But they're guaranteeing pricing right now.
so if we don't change what we want, then, and is there something in the contract that says, like, I just feel like we have had no leverage in the past.
Well, and the other piece of it is that we've never, in the past, with those other bonds and stuff that we talked about, we didn't lock it in. Like, we were never able to lock it in. So it didn't matter, like, it was gonna continue to rise until we locked it in. This is a lock-in.
So, okay, that's really my question. So if we approve it, then, and the scope doesn't change,
Exactly.
then the price.
Yeah, and that is.
And are there any areas that they'll, when they get it to like, oh, we've removed that wall and now all of a sudden, like, are there any areas that they haven't fully explored, or is it, does the committee feel pretty confident that
I
This is
would
it.
say confident. They did a very thorough, just look at all of the spaces, and really spent a great deal of time in those locations.
I could say that with 97% assurance. So the reality is that something may happen, but we don't anticipate that. They were very thorough.
So Victoria last time had the concern about monitors
In other buildings.
in
Yes.
other buildings.
We
Yeah.
did talk with Kevin about that, and North Berwick, the Univents in North Berwick were replaced very, very recently, and the CO monitors are in there, are very up to date. So that's not as much of a concern right now, but we're putting in for next week, we're putting in some monitors at Milton, Hanson, and Lebanon Elementary School whilst staff and students are in session. And so we'll get the readings from those buildings as well.
Great, thank you very much.
So if I'm looking at this right, it was just the high school, the middle school, and Hussey?
Correct. Those are the HVAC Yes, those are the major renovations for HVAC. And in all of our buildings, except for the normal control, they're looking at just energy efficiency upgrades as well. Which are a lot less in scope.
And as we talked last time, if you, in the state of Maine, if you have something that is under $10 million, the board is able to make that decision without having to go to vote, which is different than the building projects of that. So that's why we don't need to wait.
And so you have the money now for this, or are you scheduling this for next?
So the way that this works out, this right here.
I was,
So we have ESSER funds of about $1.4 million set aside for it. And then we'll be taking basically a loan through Bank of America for the other piece of it. With a locked-in rate, what was it?
Right, 5.3, something like
Which
that.
was very,
Yeah,
About 1 percentage point lower than the lawyers or anybody has seen in a long time.
Yeah. And that actually, the repayment process for that would not hit until fiscal '25. So we're going into fiscal.
This is only $300,000.
And there's a $300,000 of efficiency main money that will come back to
And-
us.
And so what does that payment look like 2 years down the road?
You can speak to that.
I don't have the number right in front of me, but my thinking was it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $750,000 a year.
Yeah.
2 payments a year.
2 payments a year of 7?
2 payments totaling 750.
for how many years?
16.
Yes, well, so 16 is the first year, which is really not much.
Right.
And then 15,
So it's 15
basically it's spread over 15.
Okay.
There's 16 years in the amortization schedule, but that has to do with timing. and-
Yeah.
for the Easter,
It was 1.4 million for the Easter.
yes.
And here's the reality, these are things that need to be done. That's like, it's not, it isn't, we're not making. It's not, it's just simply things that need to be planned in our capital funds anyways.
And it should make us more efficient. The lighting and the insulation and things like that should make it so that we're saving ideally money on those utilities as we go forward as well.
And this is not the time to get into it, but like, are there any other major capital projects that we're gonna be looking at in
That's a good question.
a couple of months, like when we get our first list?
We have this, the CIP, the capital improvement list, that we have to come very shortly to the board to talk about with Kevin as far as prioritizing some of the projects. One of the big projects is paving this building. And what that could look like.
It's 20 years old, 22 years
Right.
old now. So,
And there's we have different goals for different parts of that, but we will need to discuss that much sooner than we have in the past because it's taking so long to line people up for projects. So that will be coming.
we have a roof to be looking
We don't
at.
need like 25 new buses or anything.
No,
No, looking for,
we are doing a good job keeping up with our.
yes, yes.
Okay, so paving is the only other major thing that we.
Well, there's a roof,
And a roof.
potentially.
I think through our planned bus replacement, I think our oldest buses are now 2012, which we have hit our 10-year.
That was our goal, to get to 10 years.
It was previously 13, 14, somewhere there.
I still have trauma about buses. The first year that I was in this job, bus fleet was condemned.
We did a little tour of the bus garage, which I thought was really helpful. Maybe that's something, since we have a lot of new to do again. This winter, they have, I don't know if you guys were on there, they have up on the lift, it was really interesting.
Yeah.
It was really
They
interesting.
have a big old snow rake now that they love to show off too. That's kind of fun. So if we get some snow, you can see that for it.
So we need to
We have a resolution that you have to, somebody needs to vote on.
Do we have a little straw poll or like, where are we on?
Thoughts, ladies?
Well, we gotta do it.
Right,
You know, I
now.
mean, if we were building a new school, we wouldn't have to do some of it. But.
And these
Never
are
put the
just,
money into the building.
these are supposed to just be essentials, what's necessary. Nothing extra.
That's what needs to happen.
So does everyone want to make a motion
So
to?
we have to read the specific motion.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't,
I don't have it. I don't have anything.
Okay.
That's a lot of numbers. I move that the resolution entitled Resolution to Authorize $9,893,870.87 performance contract with Mechanical Services Incorporated and to authorize project funding of $1,410,890.87 from federal ESSER funds and $8,482,980 lease purchase financing from Bank of America Public Capital Corp. Be approved in form presented to this meeting.
we have a motion to approve.
Right, okay, got it. All right,
And all those in favor?
how are we doing out there and opposed? So, yeah, I'm just not sure. Did I for everybody?
Victoria?
Victoria, it's okay, yay or nay?
I'm not quite understanding. I'm sorry. Can we go over that again?
Sure.
I mean, what?
So
I'm
this
sorry.
was, no, it's okay. This was the Bill, you know, we met with the folks for
Yeah,
the-
yeah, I understand that we're
Yeah.
talking about the buildings.
Yeah, so this is just, this is a moving forward,
Okay.
and moving forward with the contract.
Is
And
there a
there's-
chance for me to ask one question?
Sure.
Okay. When she read the motion, she had two different figures. Do we add those two together? Or are they to give us the final cost? Or
Yeah, I
is
think the 1,100,000 is the ESSER and then the
So the total
8,400,000.
is $9,893,870.87.
okay, that's what I didn't hear. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
I was
okay.
like, I missed something there. Sorry.
That's totally all right.
Okay. All right, I got it.
I read the total first, which
Yeah,
I think probably.
right, so the 1.4 million is the ESSER funds and we're financing the 8.4 million, basically.
Okay, all right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm good. I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right,
Sorry about that. I missed
No, that's.
either I missed it here or
It's also on that slide at the end, it goes through the numbers.
Yeah,
And it says a 3.8. Interest rate.
I think that is what it was, just 3.8. That's what.
Oh, I thought it was
Oh, no, I would. Yeah.
3.819.
Yeah.
If you needed the rest of it.
All righty, so then I think we have everybody in favor?
Okay, so the motion has passed.
All right, thank you.
We will need some signatures, and Jen will send that out electronically. Thank you.
And that's important, again, with our timeline to respond to that promptly. So look for it in the next day or so. And then the lawyers can get to their.
I did all of mine. I was delinquent in my job and I did all today. So,
We'll just, we have to try to turn it around for us closing on December 28th. That's the goal. All right, thank you.
now excuse me again, but what happens if it comes in, like she said, things are more costly than they thought? What happens if it's over the amount we can do that we can vote on it and it has to go to the public? What happens
It
then?
really has to come in the way that we are.
Okay,
For contract, that's it.
Right.
okay.
And if something costs more, they're eating the
They're
cost.
meeting.
They're eating all that cost. Okay.
But that, I hadn't thought about that over the 10 million mark. That's a good point.
It has to stay
Because
where
we're
it
very close. We are very close.
is. Yeah, for sure. 100%. Yeah. Okay.
All right, so let's move on to our financial summary for the month.
I think you had it attached to your agendas. There's nothing really of note. We've had, of course, it's like any year, we've had overages in some areas and we've had savings in others. But all of the categories seem to be in line. Staffing continues to be a problem. We're seeing people come and go daily. So if you have any questions.
I like getting these, by the way.
Awesome.
It's very helpful.
Good. Well, if you have,
I like getting them via email instead of print so that I can look at it and then go back and refer to it.
you know what, I do the same. I have them saved on my computer, but I usually go to the agenda and look at them. All right.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. See you next month. Or sooner.
And our next item of business is the educational update.
So our tradition, the last couple of years has been to talk a little bit about attendance, because it's very important. So we are seeing a little spike in absences. So for our student attendance, the low was 84% in attendance and the high was 93%. And that's again over the last 2 weeks that we're seeing. For staff, again, this is for illness only, not for personal days or professional days or appointments. We've had high of 5 out for illnesses. And then there have been a few days that in certain schools, they've had all their staff. So,
Yes, I think having pretty high absentee in Lebanon, like 70 kids, that's a lot.
It is, there's a lot of illness right now, a lot of illness, so.
Pretty quite standard at this time of year.
yes.
Yeah.
Maybe a little early, usually like January, February, but yes. So we are having trouble with transportation this week. And we have had almost every single day, we've had a driver, at least a driver out. Some days it's been 2 or 3. The problem is, of course, that we don't have a reserve of substitute drivers because we're not even fully in full capacity with our drivers anyway. So we've had to have some bus runs not run, and we've also had some bus runs that have had to be split onto other buses. The hardest part of this for the transportation office is in the morning, because if somebody calls out at 4:30 or 5 o'clock, that doesn't give a lot of time to make a shift, because those shifts can take 45 minutes to an hour to make. And every single person that has a CDL license is driving, so that leaves very little staff to be able to work through some of those buses. The afternoon has been a little more successful because they've had, a couple hours to kind of get those shifts.
Is it normal that you would only be called it like that morning?
Sometimes when, like, if somebody at night,
Somebody wakes up sick.
sick or like temperature or,
Most of the time, the drivers try to
right.
to give, some heads up, but really, the reality is if they wake up sick.
So we've been talking a little bit with Brenda Cravens, Transportation Director, and we use Ride 360 for notification. And what that does is that goes right when there's an issue on the bus, like if the bus is late, or if it's a different bus number, or if, for example, that run can't run that day. Brenda will put it on Ride 360, and then what happens is a text comes into the phone, and it says like bus 22 isn't running, isn't able to run. So we have 3,000 subscriptions to that out. So it feels like we've got a hearty number for our district, but we still know that some families aren't getting some of those calls. So what we're gonna do over the next couple of days is really do a big, huge push again through the schools, through the central office, to make sure that families are signed up to Ride 360, just because it's the most succinct way to get that information, especially if you're talking 5 o'clock in the morning. You don't want to send like a whole district email out every single day at 5:30 saying that's gonna cause some ill will. So the best way is the Ride 360. We just have to make sure that we're getting everybody that we can. What I found out today about that is one of the complicating pieces could be for some of those families that haven't received it is that when you get the text, the text comes up, but then if you have a home button or if you try to punch in your code, it gets lost. So if you don't read it right away on there before you move ahead to access your text and your emails, it's gone. So we have to kind of alert families about that as well. So that's one of the big things that has just kind of come up for us this week. And we hate to have to cancel. It's just, we know it's an inconvenience for families, parents, students, staff, and so that's very hard. I will say, like, the schools have tracked the attendance of those students that have been on those buses, and their attendance has been good. So it's not prohibiting students from making it to school. Our elementary report cards are going out tomorrow. That's the first trimester report cards. And as you know from parking today, we've had holiday concerts this week and a little bit last week. And so those are winding down and have had good attendance at those. And as Echo mentioned, our athletics has begun and teams are playing and practicing, and transportation in the fall for our athletics was a little difficult. We had to charter a lot of buses. We're chartering a little less going into the winter season, so that's good. Let's hope that we have drivers that remain healthy and we can get that to continue that trajectory. So those are the school district updates for education. Oh, one more thing. We did talk to, I know this came up last time about just hearing from our Noble for All committee, which is our diversity, equity, inclusion committee, and we're scheduling them to come in for an update in January. Right. So.
Now, for the very exciting employment update.
We have one resignation, and that is for Robert Lansing, who is a math teacher at Noble High School. And his effective date, if you accept this, would be December 22nd. So he's yes, but not in teaching.
We need to vote on that.
Yeah.
So we have a motion to accept Robert's resignation. I make a motion to accept Robert's resignation. Give a second. And all those in favor? And the motion is passed.
Numbers. For a second.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, you guys can take down.
So that was it?
Just business. Yeah.
Other business? Okay, so we're right at other business now, folks. Anybody have any new items?
I really would like us to look again at how we're going to do snow days this year. There are other districts in the state that are, like, the first 2 days they're doing is traditional snow days, and then after that, it's gonna be remote. And I just think if other districts can figure that out, I think we should be able to as well.
Where are you hearing that one?
Well, I have 3 family members that teach in Bangor.
Yeah.
And they have 4 different pickup places in the city where people could go and pick up meals when they have those snow days.
Okay. Interesting.
I know they do it in Gray, but I don't know, and that's a small thing, I don't know how exactly it's, they're doing similar things, in Gray, and I just thought, I think, I mean, I know we talked about it and stuff, but it seems to me we're missing an opportunity.
Yes, I can back
If
with that.
possible.
Like I literally thought of this earlier and I don't know, of course, elementary brain lunch, not older lunches. But I was like, is there even something that like we could send home after Thanksgiving, like an Easy Mac thing and a fruit pouch and a bag of crackers and like, please hold, something that has a shelf of 3 months, like,
Yeah.
please hold it for the snow.
They
You don't have to do it actually too,
So the
but like,
pro, so
at least you put it out
because of
there.
that, I think, well, so, because we totally thought about that, but the reality is you have to be able to assure that that child gets that meal on that day. So if we send it home in advance, it's not something we can assure, and there's some pretty strong guidelines regarding it. So yeah, we would love to be able to be more flexible about those snow days. That's a
The only issue I can see, I mean, we would have to sort out the school lunch thing.
Yeah.
Is, and I can't imagine all those elementary schools send their devices home within a day. So it would have to be, okay, you gotta take your iPad home today, because you might not have school tomorrow type thing. I don't know how we would deal
Well,
with that.
I think we've gotten to the point of having like, for a certain grade, for the grades that didn't have computer before COVID, when there were plenty of them that didn't have it, they were like work packets at the beginning of the week, or, you know, where they would have work, they would have the work to do.
Back
Yeah. But I have a question. So originally there was some state guidance that didn't have to do with food about snow days. Did that all get changed during COVID? Or is that still?
They gave us
one of the-
more grace during COVID too.
Okay, so
even
that
last
might be
year.
something that we could pass along to
Yeah.
Tiffany and Joe
Yeah.
to say, let's get this sorted out, because it is.
It wasn't that more of a participation rate, you had to have a certain 85% or something.
There's a lot
No,
of,
it was something specifically about not, being able to do like at home days. But it wasn't about the food, I don't remember.
Yeah, that was it.
It is, but there was this other thing as well.
so what we used to do was one
During
pick up in a
COVID?
week, yeah.
So I guess
But they,
is that not
because of,
acceptable?
so
Okay.
at the federal level, they made some adjustments because of COVID and because we were out completely, and therefore, and it was sort of a hindrance for families to have to come every single day. So they allowed for you to do, like, we were given gallons of milk and whole 9 yards. Now that COVID is no longer a major player, the federal laws have kicked back in, the federal guidelines have kicked back in. So it's not even at the state level, although the state can certainly kick back to the feds. That's really where it plays through. Abby has definitely been very much on board trying to work it out, because we do want to be, I mean, we have the technology. It doesn't make a ton of sense to use every single snow day and more. But there's also, the other piece of it is, it's not necessarily always a bad thing to have a snow day.
Okay, what do we have, 5 built in? I mean, we could always.
We have 5 built in.
I think what gets silly is when you're into 6, 7,
Yes.
8,
Yeah,
and then
totally.
schools in June, in July, and, you know, I think that's.
And when we talk about it with the superintendent's group in York County, their thought process has been pretty much, let's look at what happens in a normal timeframe of snow days. We have 5 built in, we've always had 5 built in. If it starts to get higher than that, then what do we do?
Because I think most of them are, they're the first two, they're traditional.
Yeah.
Snow days, no work, and then after those two, they.
Yeah, we've been talking about that.
Yeah, and I understand that, but I think I would, like, I've been asking this every year that I've been here, it's like, let's just have a plan, let's figure out the plan, and then maybe we don't have to use it, but, you know.
So we'll invite Abby to our next meeting so that we can go through some of this in more detail, especially
And
about.
maybe before then, someone can look into whatever else
Yes.
is going on.
Yeah, we'll look into Bangor, because my guess is clearly, well, dynamics are different in a city like Bangor, but in Gray, it's a little more akin to us. So just about, it's transportation, getting families to those places to pick up. Sanford does do, particularly during the summertime, they have summertime. But again, on a snow day, transportation is not necessarily as easy as the summertime transportation.
I
So
think they
Lots
also
of things to think about.
probably Bangor participates in community feeding programs.
Yes.
It's different than the school lunch
Well, they're
program.
going to the schools to pick up the food.
Right.
Right, but it's a different kind of offering. It's almost like summer feeding that we used to have that we qualified for, where if you came in the summer and were here for summer school, you got fed. It's a similar thing, and there are a school or two in Sanford, I think, that participate
Yeah.
and have such high free and reduced
Yeah.
But we're
enrollment.
giving everybody meals now, right?
Right. The meals are,
That changed during COVID, it hasn't gone back.
it hasn't, and it also increases the responsibility that we have to provide meals to all. So it's an interesting dynamic that goes back and forth. We'll figure it out.
I think what doesn't make sense to me is that if you call it a traditional snow day and the kids are at home, then we don't have to feed them.
Right. I know.
But
If we're saying that they're in
It makes
school,
no
then we
sense.
have an obligation to make sure that they have the right, yeah.
It's the power issue that gets me, because whenever we have a snow day in Lebanon, it's very likely that we lose power.
True.
Which definitely causes issues in terms of remote learning, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Good point.
I apologize. I had this half typed up and I was gonna do a PTO report and not read a bunch of things from different places on my phone. And then my other computer crashed and I was trying to type the last one in, so now I'm reading a bunch of messages from my phone. So
That's okay.
just quick, I figured the second meeting of the month is a good time to do just quick updates from the PTOs of what's going on. So Northborough, I'll start with, we had a Wreath and Point Get fundraiser. We raised $1,200. We also adopted a family through the Christmas Project, and that's families who don't have enough funds at Christmas time to have presents for their family. We supported a family of 6, and we had at least 2 presents for kids: books, clothes, shoes, hats, mittens, all the things, parents too, and even had an additional $200 we were able to give a gift card to Walmart to help with other expenses the family might have. And then Melissa from our PTO met with the backpack program. She's been heavily in contact with them, and they had said that they had an idea to be able to send every kid home for Christmas break with a box of cereal, since it's a week long, and wanted it to be fun and do this whole thing, and shared it with the other PTOs, and one of the other chairs ran with it, and it was awesome. And there's something called the Domino Effect of Kindness.
Yes, that's a
video that you can
have you
find.
seen it? It's so
cereal,
cool.
yeah, it's cereal boxes. I suggest Google it. Cereal boxes like lined up in a school, and you push one, and it's the whole. And the video is like this whole big.
I'll share with you guys. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
So that was our inspiration. I think it's 140 boxes for everyone to go home with a box. We heavily pushed it between North Berwick and Berwick. Lebanon is coming off some heavy fundraisers, so they didn't push it as hard, but they still took donations. And I think we're gonna do it on Monday the 20th. Definitely at Knowlton, working in the gym at Knowlton. We were thinking it'd be cool if we could do like videos at a couple of the schools spliced together, and then ending at the food pantry and the closet and everything, and like have it all sliced and like have the domino kind of travel through the schools. And I think we're actually at the point where we've collected enough cereal boxes that we've covered all 3 locations. So I think it's over 400 boxes that we've collected so far. So, and once the video is made, I will of course share it with you guys. Okay, that's or North Berwick, sorry.
So I hate to say this to you, Laura, I cannot keep up with you, so I'm gonna ask you to send me those notes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, again,
I don't wanna miss anything.
at home. Lebanon also did a Wreath and Point set of sale. They sold over 300 of them. They had a Grinch movie night with raffles and concessions, and each family that went received free popcorn and a heart that grows 3 sizes. And Berwick is Holly is very detail oriented, so I was trying to summarize this, but that's when the computer crashed. So again, she's been a big part in they've been a big part in the backpack program. And they also have been planning a Polar Express movie night where parents can drop their kids off for 3 hours for Polar Express fun. They currently have 130 kids signed up and registered for that. Principals and principal is their conductor, or I'm sorry, Mr. Roberts, the Noble Middle School principal is their conductor. I won't paraphrase, I'll just read this. Mr. Young, the school gym teacher is their hobo, and they have many teachers volunteering as elves. So if Mother Nature cooperates, they'll have chefs dancing and serving hot cocoa and cookies as well as dinner for the kids. Santa Claus himself is even making a special guest appearance. And they'll have a photographer there, Jim Steph, and the rest photography will be there. And then lastly, they're showing Hudson and Knowlton teachers and staff how much they appreciate them this holiday by giving them all a goodie bag with a $5 Target gift card, candy cane, pen, and chocolates, and an inflatable frosted snowman will deliver all of their goodie bags to them on Tuesday. And Espresso Day will be at Hudson and Knowlton on Monday as well to serve their teachers and staff a holiday compliment.
So you got all that?
Nope. And they tried. I was sending you guys.
So if you don't have it, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But yeah, everyone's been busy, but the cereal thing is.
It is very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't think I've run across in all my years PTOs who've been this active and really expanding the horizons for the kids that they serve. Thank you. Any other?
Can I just confirm that after the holidays, our next meeting is what is it?
January 5th. I believe.
Is the holiday break like contractual? Monday off. Did I read that right? Monday.
Yes.
Off?
Yes.
Is that like a contractual length of break or?
That is
that one?
how the holiday is being celebrated across, like,
Okay,
this, because New Year's is on a Sunday. The second is considered to be the holiday. And I think even in like post office and
okay.
banky, things like that.
Mondays, the 2 Mondays are the bank holidays.
Yeah, so it goes by that.
Okay.
I don't.
I said that. I thought kids had to go to school and then I found out they're home too. And I was like, man.
And any public input? Well, I think we could adjourn then, if anybody would like to make a motion.
Well,
to
do we
adjourn.
adjourn or do we go into?
We have to go into executive session.
Yes, so, but there will be no more regular business. People will move on. Thank you.